The Toronto Maple Leafs are making moves, and following their statement win against the Pittsburgh Penguins, Craig Berube has come out and revealed the truth behind his plans going forward surrounding the power play, as well as discuss some moves that are on the horizon for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, I'm going to break down that and discuss what moves he actually made in the game yesterday that made a huge impact on their win. Stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. If you're part of the 70 or so percent who aren't subscribed, it would mean the world to myself and Darius if you could hit that button. But Darius, a lot to go over today. The Leafs are making moves in the form of their power play as well as some other things. And Craig Berube spoke out and revealed some very interesting details about the moves he's going to be making, as well as what this can mean going forward for the Leafs. And let's just dive right into it. We know that the Leafs yesterday had a very big game, and it was on the back of their defense. And of course, the top six yesterday got the job done. And he said before the game, our work ethic, our defense, and our checking for the first two games has been really good. And that obviously, if you checked out our stream yesterday, that obviously translated into the game yesterday. But we spoke about this on stream and off camera as well. The biggest thing here was the adjustment they made with OEL. And Craig, because the power play has been really bad. And Craig Berube spoke out on promoting OEL to the top power play unit, which is 0 for 9 so far this season. It's been stagnant. We all know that. Just moving some guys around, trying to find a spark, trying something different. So it seems, and you can see here, shoots a puck from the point, established shot Berube regarding OEL in the power play. And it seems that all signs are pointing to the Toronto Maple Leafs making moves. We saw it briefly in yesterday's game with OEL getting moved up. What are your thoughts on OEL getting moved up to the to power play one, something we've been both advocating for a while here? I think he's had a crazy good impact on this team and a massive impact already, and I think it might be time to shake something up with the power play, going 0 for 9 in the first three games.
I wouldn't say it's time now, because I've been saying this since the summer that when they signed OEL that he should be on power play one because he's another shooting threat, which the Leafs don't have in Morgan Riley. I think Morgan Riley has great use still. He's a great player. I don't understand why, some people are saying that they should trade him or whatever that is, but he shouldn't be on power play one. The dynamic right now hasn't worked in the past, right? Because it's basically the same unit we've seen in the past, and it's not working again this season. They're 0 for 9 on the season. The power play does not look good. That is one of a few smaller issues that the Leafs are dealing with right now. Obviously, we can touch on the PK as well, which isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than the power play is right now, and some things to like with that. But yeah, in terms of the power play, got to switch something up. They already started doing it in last night's game. Maybe, if they start working with a new look unit with OEL on the first power play unit, they can get something going in the next game against the Kings, because they're going to have to, because if they don't score again on the power play in that game, then you're really thinking about it, and it can become a bigger issue than it needs to be for the Leafs. And obviously you got a lot of money on that first power play unit, so you need to get things done. So I thought it was a pretty interesting adjustment from Berube. And like he said, the 5-on-5 play and everything they've been doing the first three games of the year, they look good, right? Like there's very little to take apart of their game right now in a negative sense, because they are playing really well when it's not special teams, right? There's a couple things on the penalty kill they got to clean up as well, but it's not as bad as the power play. This is something they have to adjust right now, because yes, they are winning, but it's going to cost them games if it continues to be this bad. And we saw how bad it was in that series against the Bruins in the second half of last year as well. So something's got to give. They got to start changing things up. And I think OEL, I said it during the summer, we were talking about it when he first signed, he should be on power play one for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. Morgan Riley at this point, very good player. I think it just makes more sense. And you see Craig Berube spoke out about it, and he basically, like I mentioned, it's been stagnant, the power play that is. But OEL, not even on the power play front only, just in general, has looked very good. We spoke about it yesterday. The way that he moves the puck, actually having a defenseman that moves the puck, going from Ilya Lyubushkin and Joel Edmondson to OEL, and obviously Chris Tanev has been the biggest upgrade for me for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But the power play needs to be going 0 for 9 for a team that's supposed to have a very good power play and had a very good power play. Obviously, in the playoffs, it wasn't great, but for most of the regular season last year, they have the talent to do it. And again, the question is, what's the problem with the power play? Is it having Morgan Riley on the first line? Obviously, it's not totally his fault. Is it the entries? Craig Berube spoke out and said the entries are horrible. Getting set up, they haven't been able to do that effectively. And you mentioned it. The entries have been a problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs the entire, feels like past half decade. Over the past 5 years, they haven't been able to get set up properly on the power play, and pure talent has allowed them to still have a very effective one. I think at this point, something needs to change at this. You can see here, not direct enough, a little outside for me. We didn't look to attack right away, get shots, and get pucks to the net for some rebounds. We were just moving it around on the outside too much. I don't want to call it too cute, but we have to be more direct. And that was when they got set up. When they didn't get set up, which was most of the other time, we didn't even get to see that because of everything that was happening. So I think moving OEL will allow for some, obviously, just for some more effective power play pressure, because they lack pressure every single time so far throughout the season. I'm not panicking just yet. It's just something that needs to see an adjustment soon.
Yeah, like Berube mentioned there, when they do get set up, because that's an issue, like you brought up, like the setup has not looked good. Like the zone entries have not looked good. They got to get that under control, first of all, because you got to get in the zone if obviously the other team dumps it down the ice. So that hasn't looked good. They got to get that under control. But when they do set up, especially the first power play unit, there's no, like you said, they got to be more direct. And even when they do get pucks to the net, there's nobody there, right? Everyone's kind of stagnant. Nobody's moving on the first power play unit. It's a real problem. There's a lot of passing around the perimeter, which we know that's what they like to do. And especially those players on the top unit, that's what they like to do, play around the perimeter because it's very easy. They have to get uncomfortable. They have to be more direct, start getting to the net, make the goaltender uncomfortable that he can't see, make the defenseman uncomfortable, make them defend you, right? And start moving the puck around quicker as well, because they're just kind of passing around the box yesterday. That's what I saw. It's not going to get you goals, and especially when you finally throw it on net. Like I mentioned, OEL as a shooting threat, it won't do much to have him there. Like it's going to be better than Morgan Riley, I think, him shooting from the point if that is an option. But when he does shoot, if there's a rebound, nobody's there. They're not, they got to start getting to the front of the net. So they have to clean up those things and be more direct. I think that's a perfect word from Berube, because he doesn't want to call it too cute, because it's not necessarily too cute. They're still making plays, but I think there's too many perimeter plays. They got to start putting it to the net and getting to the net and moving, right? If you're going to move the puck around the perimeter, at least move around, right? It was way too stagnant for me yesterday, at least, and the whole season up until this point, really. And I think that's a main issue they're having. And, you know, they had a lot of pressure last night, like you mentioned too, almost 2 minutes on one power play specifically. The same unit was out. That's the other thing. I think power play two has got to get some time as well on there. But obviously you don't want to come off if you have pressure, but you got to start mixing things up as well.
Obviously, we saw power play one yesterday. Morgan Riley, Marner, Nylander, Matthews, and Pacioretty with the second power play, mainly including OEL, Domi, McMahon, Robertson, and Matthew Nyes. So I think there's going to be some changes coming probably ahead of, again, they don't play till Wednesday, so probably ahead of Wednesday's game, whether that's just swapping OEL and Riley, whether that's moving some other people around in there. That's going to be a big question. I'm starting to think Berube doesn't have a first, second, and third penalty kill unit, but just puts out whatever group is freshest. Not a bad strategy. We're seeing some things changing regarding the penalty kill. It's looked good at times. It's looked bad at times. Again, yesterday, the first penalty kill obviously led to a goal, so it wasn't great. The second one looked a lot better, and then it was kind of on and off the rest of the game. And I mean, that's been another thing too, is some undisciplined penalties there. But the Leafs have been playing very well, so I don't want to harp on it too much. But the penalty kill and the power play is the one thing that they do need to clean up. The rest of their game, to me, looks very sound. The goaltending's been great. The defense as a whole has been very good, and the top six now is starting to get it going as well. So if they can make a couple of moves, make a couple of adjustments, this is why we rock Craig Berube in. He's not afraid to make bold adjustments, and I think one is going to be coming here soon in the form of OEL getting to that first power play unit.
I think we all kind of want to forget the Bruins series from last year, but if everyone can remember, I feel like that series was won and lost on goaltending and special teams. And so far, the Leafs goaltending is not a problem so far this year, at least with Stolarz in net. We'd like to see Joseph Woll come back and how he looks if he's healthy, but that hasn't been a problem so far. But the penalty kill and the power play seem to be an issue still. The penalty kill, not as big of an issue as the power play, of course, but like you mentioned, the first goal yesterday, anyone's going to score with that much time and space. So they got to figure some things out. It's a new system. So it's still early, right? Third game, but there are some signs. I think there's like a couple things: taking penalties, the penalty kill, and the power play. Those are big issues right now through 3 games, but the rest of it, like we were talking about, 5-on-5 play, they're playing pretty good. Not too much to hate from the Leafs game, but they got to clean this up before it gets too far into the season where it becomes a real problem and it does cost you games.
Yeah, and luckily we're only 3 games in, so I mean, again, a lot of positives to take away, but hopefully moves are coming soon, because I think a lot of Leafs fans agree that it might be time to move OEL up to the power play one, especially with how well he's been playing so far this season. But let us know in the comments, do you want to see him moved up to power play one, or do you think it's too soon to make those adjustments despite the lack of production from the power play? Let us know, and see you guys tomorrow.